It's night. A guy caught the eye of a girl. He wanted to go unnoticed and hide, but accidentally caught the eye of a girl. She recognized him. It's Killian, a dark-haired tall guy with bright red eyes, under the color of ruby, dressed in a black robe. The guy smiling at the girl despite the fact that she found him. The girl shouted out what Killian was doing here. She was shocked, because she didn't expect such a thing. She didn't expect to meet a guy in such a place and at such a time. But from the strong surprise, she knocked over a glass of water accidentally. The guy came even closer to the girl and managed to grab the glass on the way to the floor. He took the glass firmly in his manly hand and did not let it break. He asked the girl, "Whose name is Sophie? Does she want to wake everyone up?" Killian picked up the glass and said that everything was fine, because he had a dry throat. The smile did not leave the guy's face. He continued to stare at the girl, as if he was using his charm to make the girl lose her voice. The guy squeezed the glass even harder in his hand and later drank water from it. The girl continued to look at the guy as if in a stupor. Later, Sophie looked at her hand, but suddenly she noticed a huge blood stain on her palm, and it scared the hell out of her. She was scared for her life, and she had no idea where the blood stain came from. The girl is really frightened and starts screaming, calling for a doctor, as suddenly she is grabbed by Killian's hand. The guy tightly clutched her wrist. He moved closer to the girl, and with every second he was getting closer to Sophie. A moment more, and their faces were as close as possible, their lips touching and intertwined in an incredible kiss. The guy continued kissing Sophie, still holding her tightly by the wrist. After a long kiss, they pulled away from each other. Sophie blushed incredibly hard from the kiss, but at the same time she didn't resist when Killian kissed her. Sophie sees a beautiful picture, as in the light of the moon a guy smiles at her, gazing intently into her eyes. His sweet smile cannot leave the girl just indifferent, except that he asked the girl to forget everything she saw today. This really surprised the girl. She cannot get out of her head the beautiful features of the guy's face. As she notices that he turns away from her and decides to leave, she asked him to wait. But it was in vain. Sophie is not comfortable. Before she knows it, the guy's gone. She's not herself. She doesn't know what to do, how to behave. As Sophie had doubts whether she was wrong, maybe he is not the main character, not the main male character. It was all her illusions. Sophie imagines the guy in very different colors, with blood on his face and an evil smile, who turned his head slightly in her direction and began to watch the girl closely. Opening her eyes, the girl saw some very strange ceiling. It is both strange and so familiar, but at the same time even somehow alien. But however, she begins to realize something. A thought and realization came to the girl about what had happened. She was so overwhelmed with excitement, for this story is one of her favorites. The girl's only hobby is reading short stories. A few years ago, 100 or 201 gave her happiness. Short stories are like boxes of chocolates because you never know which one you're going to get, so she looks through a lot of works to make sure they're of good quality. The girl is full of excitement and joy, and her eyes are full of notes of happiness because it finally happened. Finally, she became a fallen woman, because of course, who else can get into the novels? If not a fan of novels, it causes a sense of pride in the heroine. About the fear is not even a question. The girl knows that in order to find out information about herself, it's enough to just ask the maid, saying she had an accident. That's why she doesn't remember anything. It's a very good way to survive. Just ask the maid for information. And also, Papadanka need to find minerals. Survive by building romantic relationships with the main and secondary characters. Get ahead of the villain with the help of information that only the Papadanka knows. But first of all, the girl needs to decide which novella she is in and who she is. The girl went to an old mirror. It's not even surprising that it's so old. She walked up and saw herself in all her glory. Light brown hair, eyes the color of emerald and light skin, so beautiful that it is possible to describe endlessly. Maybe she is the main character because she is so attractive, thinks the girl. But she still doesn't realize who she is, which is a big blow to her ego as a fan of short stories. She's beautiful, but all girls in short stories are beautiful, and brown hair and green eyes are very common looks in short stories. And a character with brown hair could be Marie from The Capable Maid, or Alkyrus from Melody of the Deadwood. She has no idea who she is. She reads hundreds of novels a month, and therefore doesn't remember the character's appearance. The girl needs more clues. She would like to know the name of the heroine, But later she noticed some details. Low ceiling, creaking bed, small table, uncomfortable chair. But what about the large estate and servants? She wondered. Although this happens in romance novels, the heroine starts the story in poverty and achieves a happy ending. She gets a family, status, empire, and a protagonist. The girl realizes that if you wait, the maid will come and explain everything. But she is a fast person and cannot wait for the maid. The girl took a magnifying glass in her hands like a true detective. She was able to find the personal diary of the heroine. The girl took the diary in her hands, thinking to herself that the more important her role, the more details there should be in the diary. The girl noticed the letter that was inside and started to read it. She looked at who the letter was sent to and saw the inscription, "For Kilian, Archduke Vipronce Rivellon." The girl assumed that it was a complicated and long name, so it was bound to be the main male character. Who else could have such a name? And he was also an archduke. Such thoughts made the girl even a little embarrassed. By the decision of the imperial family, he and the girl were doomed in a marriage of convenience. But she has never seen him, and it seems that he is purposely avoiding her, wrote the girl, adding, she realizes that he may be disappointed with her situation, as he is an archduke who owns the territories of the north. But she needs this engagement. The girl learned that the heroine Sophia Fraus and the hero Kilian Vipronce Rivellon destroyed girl and cold archduke of the north. But even so, she tries to remember the novel but does not remember. Such names are often found in novels, and the plot twist is more than obvious. The girl tells herself to calm down, sits in a pose for meditation, and tries to understand what this novel is. Engagement by order of the imperial family. With the help of this engagement, her character wanted to escape from the old attic, and Kilian must fulfill the order of the emperor. He agreed to the engagement, but does not communicate with his fiancée. So the next action of Sophia, to break the engagement. The first rule of romance novels is that a relationship begins when someone proposes to divorce or break the engagement. After Kilian's behavior, she will definitely want to break the engagement, the girl thought. And under such circumstances, Kilian will scream like a beast that the girl will not go anywhere. He falls in love, and the heroine finds her true love. The Archduke will certainly not agree to break the engagement. That's what the protagonist, reborn Sophia, is counting on. The girl opened the window and shouted loudly for the groom to wait for her. Only then she regretted her hasty conclusions. The girl screamed so hard that she even got dizzy, but then she noticed her arm. It was incredibly thin. Sophia knows that the heroines of novels do not eat anything but desserts, but this is too much. Her body is so weak it's hard to even stand. Is she on the verge of death? Suggests the girl. Then she sees a girl enter the room. From her appearance and clothes, you can understand that this person is a maid. So it turned out, as Sophie said, that the first person she meets here will be a maid. The maid asks what the girl is doing here, and then brings her food and asks the girl to eat. But these dishes, to put it mildly, struck and did not like Sophia even by their appearance. Whether it is in the super pepper or fly, and bread with mold, asked the question of the protagonist. Sophia says that she has read many novels where maids sometimes ignored the heroine. Then the girl stops the maid before she leaves and asks her name. The maid reluctantly replies that her name is Jenny. Sophia asks Jenny if she means to say that the girl should eat it, and she answers that of course she is responsible for Sophia's food. And then she adds that she can't even believe that the girl is engaged to the Archduke, and asks if Sophia thinks that since they are engaged, she will be treated better and respected because of that. The girl remembers that she is doomed with Kilian, but Sophia has never seen him. They are engaged on paper, and from the moment of engagement has passed exactly 1 month. But during this time, Kilian has never come to Sophia. Jenny says that if she wants to be mistress, she should marry him and live together, but she doubts very much that the Archduke will agree to it. The girl crossed her arms on her chest, saying that she was the mistress of Fraus County, and why the maid had the conscience to humiliate her. But the letter did not say why Sophia was unhappy. After these words, the maid laughed very hard, holding her stomach. She was amused that Sophia thought she was Fraus, not because she had nicknamed her mistress. The girl knew that the maid would be able to tell her everything, and asked her what was the matter. And she answered that it was a pity because the mistress was too kind. Otherwise, Sophia would not be here otherwise. Sophia lost her mom as a child. Stepmother and younger brother harassed her. The end. This novel is like Cinderella, except the stepsisters are swapped for a younger brother. Jenny says she knows. She hasn't cleaned or done laundry because of her illness, but she doesn't think she's going to be carried on her back, which makes the maid laugh at her. Apparently, Sophia was a real Cinderella. She was doing the dirty work. The girl touched the plate of food the maid had prepared for her. She spilled the liquid on Jenny with a very sudden and sharp movement. She said that she was right. She really knew it herself. But then the maid started shouting very loudly, "What is the girl doing? How can she allow herself to do such a thing?" Sophia said that a little drama is a must in any novel. A traitor needs to give the reader drama. She asks if she's been too obedient all this time and says she didn't have to be. The girl pointed her finger at Jenny and started screaming. "How could you even leave your daughter just because your wife died?" The girl said that she had always been soft, and like a saint had put up with it all, was like an angel. But now... The maid shouted that the girl had obviously been ill for so long that she had started to go crazy. The girl realized that the real Sophia would not do that. If you look at the letters, you can see that she was depressed and unhappy. But even so, the girl will not tolerate it. Sophia continued to yell, letting the maid know that if she did it again, she wouldn't get away with it. The girl rejoiced, telling the heroine Sophia not to worry, because now she is a hit woman here, and she will turn the girl's life path into flowers, or in champagne, so even better. The girl looked around. Here she found several buildings, well-maintained garden, exotic trees, luxurious buildings, shining ceilings, gold decor, such possessions. But the daughter lives in the attic in the annex. Maybe it's time to see her stepmother, Sophia pondered. The girl with a strong sound opens the door and asks where her mother is, one of the maids. Wanting to hurt the girl, says that her mother is dead, but here is the life of the despised heroine is so tiresome for the girl. She came closer to the maid and confidently said that the question was not about her mother, but about the countess, as Sophia was exclaimed by the woman. All the maids bowed to her, and this woman was the stepmother Jenny had been talking about, probably the one who threw Sophia into the attic, and her name was Rubicella Fraus. Jenny has already had time to complain to her. The girl doesn't like tattletales, but it saved her time. The girl also understands the behavior of the first villain, so she's waiting to be shown what they can do. The stepmother said that sick people can't have so much energy and asked the girl if it was true that she had poured soup on Jenny. She looked at the girl so contemptuously and arrogantly, not considering her at all. Sophia explains that it was not soup, but food waste, which made the stepmother very angry. She asked, "Is this how you treat our mercy?" To which the girl replied, "Mercy is not a word that should be used now, more like hatred," which only made the woman more angry. She clearly did not expect this. The girl continued. She said that she was really sick, but how could she be cured with such a diet? There were flies in the soup. Such nonsense would definitely defame their county. The girl asked if they thought the same. Sophia says that they must have brought Jenny to punish her. The woman is angry. She does not tolerate such treatment of herself and her charges, and therefore swings to hit the girl. But Sophia says her stepmother isn't going to hit her. She's a little distant from her stepmother. She stated that she would like to change her room. You see, the attic is hot in the summer and very cold in the winter. She asked if there was room for her in this large estate. The stepmother shouted very loudly at the girl. "Say that she is completely naked. She made an engagement with the Archduke and now she is allowed. And the girl only said that a member of the family, Fraus, wants to live in the county of Fraus. Is it impudence?" The woman's face is twisted with anger. She's screaming that if you think about it, Sophia doesn't have any Fraus blood. She got sick once, and now she thinks she can say whatever she wants. Stepmother continues to push her line, saying that the attic is suitable for the girl, and then Sophia realizes that just talking about it will not solve it. But she does not give up. She knows what to do in this situation. The girl says that if she goes out in such a state, all people will know how badly she is treated. But this caused only a smirk on her stepmother's face. Is it a threat? She thought. Sophia does not even have any connections among the aristocrats. No one. She was not even at the debutante ball. Sophia asks her stepmother if she doesn't believe that a girl can do something, but this caused only laughter on her stepmother's part. She said that she should try to go out and complain to some beggar. After some time in the newspapers, there is breaking news that the fiancé of Archduke Rivellon became a servant. The guy gives newspapers to passers-by on the street aristocrats. They are all so concerned and do not understand how this is possible. They are very sorry for this girl. The mistress is told that this article is on the front page of the weekly newspaper about aristocrats. But this angered the woman so much, she began to shout who had managed to write such an article. Out of anger, her face was so twisted, as if a hurricane had passed over it. Mr. Killian was approached by his ward and told that the Archduke was on the front page of the newspaper. But then he saw that Killian had already received the newspaper. The guy asked why he was written about him in the newspapers without his knowledge, and asked Nick specifically. He is the sole Archduke of the Empire, in charge of the military and police forces of Killian Viproni's Rivellon. Nick said that the author applied anonymously, to which he received a question from Killian. Why then, if the source is unknown, why Lady Chenelia did not check this nonsense? But at the same time, Lady Chenelia does not publish groundless rumors. But so one article does not mean anything if it is a lie, and so the whole capital is talking about it. Nick explains that people are worried about Lady Sophia, and if you look closely, Killian's name is mentioned, but without criticizing him. The boy reads the newspaper. The phrases that catch his eye are, Count Frowes is hiding his first daughter, so she didn't make her debut. A maid who used to work at the Frowes estate claims that Sophia lives in the attic and eats leftover bread and soup. A maid who used to work at the Frowes estate says Sophia lives in the attic and eats leftover bread and soup. She's not the Countess's own daughter at all, and rumor has it that her stepmother despises Sophia. She's not the Countess's daughter at all. Mrs. Mao saw the Count's daughter. She was shabby and very cautious of other people. The boy thought about it. It seems to him that it was written to attack Frowes County. Suddenly he saw the phrase, Archduke Killian Whiprons never visited his bride. And some even say that the Countess killed her and replaced her with a similar maid. People are like animals that have been thrown a piece of meat. Killian thinks to himself that he didn't want to pay attention. There wasn't even a ceremony. They just exchanged contracts. She was an unknown girl then. The boy didn't care. After the death of his parents, the Emperor and Empress became his guardians. At the age of 6, he left home to grow up in an imperial family. He became the brother of the crown prince and the emperor's second reliable son. The boy did not forget the kindness with which he was raised and therefore served the imperial family wholeheartedly, being Archduke Killian Rivellon in charge of the military and police forces. He got engaged because the imperial family decided so, but even so, thinks Killian, it must be solved before it becomes a serious matter. The guy started to leave while Nick asked where he was going. He said to his fiancée to meet her. In Frowes County, the mistress has been angry since morning. The maids are afraid to cross her eyes and afraid to enter her house. It all started because of an article in the newspaper. Sophia overhears through the door conversations and fears of maids. She even from the attic hears how the maids are afraid of the mistress and make plans how not to get under her hot hand. It greatly energizes the girl in positivity, because she realized that she tried not in vain and everything turned out exactly as she wanted to. One of the clichés of romance novels. Once a female character appears, her every action has a huge impact. Whether you're the protagonist, a slave girl, or just a maid, Sophia is the Archduke's fiancée. The news is sure to reach the capital. The girl is sure. The girl looks out the window and sees a bunch of people who want to know if it's true or not, waving their hands to Sophia. But some of them are told that they can't be here. The girl only smiled more. She managed to give her stepmother a headache. The girl is happy. The whole capital is aware of these events, so if Frowes County cares about public opinion, they should be careful with her. The girl knows that everything will not be solved immediately, but it has definitely become a discussed problem, and now the groom will have to move, as suddenly the girl saw a carriage through the window, and the guy's black hair. Is it really? The girl screamed when she saw Killian. If this is her fiancé, she thought, hair blacker than night and eyes as red as rubies, the image of a lonely man. Sophia suddenly felt a pang in her chest at the mere sight of him. She's not even surprised. that the standard of the main character is a jealous, dark-haired Archduke of the North, a face she will definitely rate 10 points, so handsome he is. The girl knows that it is necessary to quickly offer him to break off the engagement, so that he falls in love with her. Also, Sophia is sure that the main plot of the novel begins here. Mr. Killian was greeted and asked the purpose of his visit, but he said he was going to see his fiancée. The girl keeps looking at her husband through the window. She recognizes his name and also realizes that even from here, you can see that he is the main male character here. A man who grew up in an imperial family, an archduke occupying a high position in society. He is on good terms with the crown prince. But best of all, Killian is well-mannered and fair. He does not run around women. Sophia's heard that many aristocrats like the archduke. But this man, luckily for Sophia, he's her fiancé. The girl noticed the guy looking out the window at her. She blushed as they looked at each other, and her heart began to beat even faster. She looked away, but immediately began to blame herself for it, not understanding why she did it. A maid approaches the girl, telling her to change her clothes before meeting Mr. Killian, because it would be improper for her to go out to him like that. The girl picked out a suitable dress, thinking that the gentleman would definitely like it if she left her back exposed. Jenny, at the girl's behest, helps her put on the dress. Of course, Sophia is in pain, but the maid just tells her to be glad she's helping her at all, and that if it's too loose, everyone will see the scar on her back. The girl does not know what it is about. What kind of scar is this? As she looked in the mirror and saw just a horrible big scar on her back, she wondered how terrible childhood must have been to have such a bad scar on the aristocrat's back. The maid asked the girl to sit down because she needs to do the lady's hair, and here you go, a few touches and the girl's image is ready. Sophie looked at herself and began to compare her appearance with the aristocrats. For they really are very much alike. She said in her voice that she was so lucky to be betrothed to the Archduke. Whereupon Sophie turned toward the maid and asked her if she was jealous, for Jenny had such a displeased look on her face. The maid shouted for the girl to come out quickly, for His Highness was waiting for her, as she left the room and immediately ran into the Archduke's presence. Sophia came out, but did not expect the Archduke to be here so quickly. The girl knows that the Archduke of the North is always on the move, but the Count and Countess tried to hide from him that she lives in the attic. How did he know then? Sophia feels a great embarrassment because he has entered her like that. Sophia said that His Highness is very rude, and before entering a girl's room you have to knock. The guy apologized, saying that the door opened before he went inside, so it's not only his fault. Besides, he added, he wouldn't call this attic the girl's room. And then Sophia asked how he'd even managed to get here, since the maids wouldn't have let him. Killian answers that the girl is right. It really caused him problems, and he just wanted to talk to his fiancée alone. He also looked at Jenny and said that he thought they were interfering. She immediately said that she understood, and left. The guy asks the girl for permission to enter her room. The girl says it's a terrible place, and the Archduke agrees, but he says nothing more. That's the kind of people the Archdukes of the North are. The guy asks if Sophia has read Lady Chanelia's newspaper, and says that there are rumors everywhere that she is a maid, and he doesn't know who wrote it, and with what intention. The girl was surprised, and asked the Archduke to clarify whether it was really about her. The girl told the Archduke that she herself had reported it, because the guy himself could observe the circumstances of the lady, and she wanted to change the situation. And she mentioned the name of the Archduke, so that people would start reading the article, because no one would be interested in reading an article with the title, Poor Sophia Fraus Lives in the Attic. Aristocrats do not know Sophia, but Killian Vipronis Rivellon, the most attractive man in the empire, because it is sure to cause rumors, because in an era of oversupply can only stand out by provocation. The guy asks, is that why you lied about being made a maid? And the girl said that because of the article, she finally got to see her fiancé. The girl says that she hoped these rumors could make her family change. Her father must prove to everyone that she is not a servant if he wants to keep the engagement between them. The guy asks what if he had heard about it and decided to break off the engagement. The girl replied that there was nothing to be done about it. It would have to be broken off. The guy asks if she's serious. Sophia says that if this happens, she could be thrown out on the roof or even on the street. So the Archduke of the North is strong, but at the sight of a helpless girl becomes weaker. standard behavior. Sophia asks the Archduke if he wants to break off the engagement and says that if he does, she should warn him in advance, because she can be kicked out of the house. Therefore, she should prepare herself. That is, she should sell all her precious things and check if she has any land plots. The girl thinks that Killian thinks about how thoughtful she is, and he should be surprised by her behavior. Of course, he does not want to break the engagement. The girl just wanted to scare him. The girl will not listen to him if he violates her, because she is a trapped girl who could survive in the harsh modern life. Killian asks what would happen if the rumor got out of control. It's hard to prove that she's not a maid. Then the guy asks if the girl will admit that she lied to everyone. She denies it. She'll be dead. Everyone on the estate knows she's a maid. So they can confirm that the article is true. It's so easy to publish a story from an anonymous source. The guy crossed his arms on his chest and started thinking about this girl. He thought she was just a girl who knew nothing about the world, but she managed to surprise him. Killian reports that he had heard something different about the girl, and it interested her. He said that he had heard that she was weak, indecisive, and fearful, and the girl only agreed that was the perfect description for someone who lived in an attic. Maybe the real Sophia was like that, the girl thought. She wouldn't have resisted, even if Jenny had brought her soup with flies in it. And a person can't be healthy in such horrible conditions. The girl said she hoped he would like the real Sophia. Killian said he understood. He realized Sophia wasn't right for this place. He respectfully leaned over, took the girl's hand, and called her to come with him to a place that was right for her. The guy was met by the girl's stepmother and servants. They shouted where to what place he was taking Sophia and asked the Archduke to wait, because they did not have time to talk. He replied that he had already talked to his fiancée. The guy began to shout to tell them everything, because it concerns them too, after which the man seriously shouted that everything that was in today's article is a lie. It's all just nonsense. Let Killian not believe these fictitious people. Killian talks about how he hopes they'll do everything they can to clean up this shame. And then the guy turns his back on the man and asks if it's not true. Then why is his fiancée living in the maid's quarters? He says they should have taken care of it so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. The guy wants to be alone with his fiancée. He'll make sure Sophia has dinner so they don't have to wait, he continued. He said that when they get back, he hopes he won't have to take her to the attic, hinting that they'll put her in a normal room. The girl admires the guy for standing up for her. She thought about the fact that when she asked for a change of room, she was slapped in the face, and the Archduke didn't have to repeat himself. It's like they are afraid of him. Mr. Killian extended his hand to the girl, then took her hand and said that now they will not interfere, and it's time to go. His manners are so natural as expected. He is the main character, but Sophia even had goosebumps on her skin. Killian and Sophia are seated in the carriage. The girl checks with the one where they are eating. Killian tells her that at the atelier. Here the girl began to glow with joy, because this is the main event in many novels. She imagines the Lord buys everything and she starts to dress up, trying on different clothes. She is eager to try on different expensive dresses. The girl marvels, saying, "It's like being in a live park," and the guy doesn't know what it's even about. Killian thinks that not so long ago she was so daring, but now she is like a cheerful puppy. The girl is surprised and delighted by everything. Big carts, white horses, and people in luxurious clothes. The guy immediately sees from her behavior that she is new to the capital, but this side of her is also attractive to him. The carriage stopped, solemnly announced that they had arrived, and then a guy gets out of the carriage and politely gives the girl his hand to help her down. He calls the lady. While she admires his behavior, the way a real protagonist should behave, Sophia experiences what she has only read about in books. The guy brought the girl to the atelier. Immediately entering the building, she sees girls dressed in rather formal clothes. They began to say that His Highness should not have come. They themselves could come to his palace. But Killian had only asked them for a favor, to help pick out a beautiful dress for his bride. The girl is told that she can look at all the dresses. Sophia is overflowing with excitement and happiness. She really wants to try on as many beautiful dresses as possible. The girl said that there are so many dresses here. Are they in Rococo style? And after asking how much they are priced, then the girl walks around the atelier looking at different dresses. Sophia stopped and came closer to the Archduke. She asked him to clarify who would pay for the dress, as she had no money, and she did not want Killian to pay. And then there was news in the newspaper that the Count's maid had become the Archduke's maid. The guy asked a question back, how she thought why he brought her here. He thought mentally what an interesting girl she was, and then he also said that there would be no problem with money, so the girl could choose what her soul would like. He smiled sweetly, looking at her. The girl smiled very broadly and said, "Let the shopping begin." She began to walk carefully and cast glances at the various dresses, evaluating them before trying them on herself. Sophia is wearing a gorgeous red rococo dress, which she assumes will fit the main villain perfectly. And the second she wore a soft blue dress with various jewelry on it. This dress is perfect for the debut of the main character of the novella. The girl is dressed in a red dress and said that she has already decided and chosen a dress. She turns to the Archduke to find out his assessment of the dress, whether it suits her. But he is so much shocked that the girl thought that he has already fallen in love with her. Killian repeated that he had money, and then the girl realized that it was possible to get several dresses, not just one. She asked about the quantity. While the Archduke said as many as she wanted, if he wanted, he could buy all the dresses that were here. Sophia thought that they had just met and he was ready to do such things. She thanked the guy from the bottom of her heart, calling him a wonderful man. The girl has bought a dress and has already left the atelier. She thinks that in this bright red dress looks like the main character of the novel. The gentleman asks her to come to the carriage and wait until he pays for her dress. She agrees and goes to the carriage. When the girl hears a woman shouting "thief" and calling for help, she sees a picture of a not young man stealing something important from her. An obligatory event from the road. The thief comes to the girl and threatens her with a knife and tells her to get out of the way. In her mind, the girl realizes that she must deal with this thief, because his capture will increase the sympathy of the peasants. She is the main character, even though she had to endure the abuse of her stepmother. But she will never let innocent people suffer. The girl picked up a nearby broom and hit the thief right between his legs, so that he stumbled and even fell on the ground. She tells the man to drop the bag, but in her heart she praises the fact that some statistician is unable to defeat the main character. She knows that if she catches him, people will love her, and the secondary male character will admire her bravery and courage. But then her thoughts are interrupted by a thief who rises to his feet, calling the girl an obscene word. He attacks her with a knife. At the last moment, Sophia blocked his blow with her broom. She seems to be in time. But the girl realizes that her hands are weak now, because Sophia is sick. And if she is to die, it is not an ordinary event. It may be the cause of her death. The girl closed her eyes, imagining a terrible situation where she lies in the hospital, and the doctor says that because of the wound caused by the thief, she will die. She opened her gaze sharply, as she felt that she was joined by Mr. Killian, who grabbed the hand of the thief, not allowing him to touch Sophia with a finger, and held the girl so that she did not fall accidentally. Killian said that it was very reckless and why in general such criminals still exist, his touching Sophia, make her embarrassed and blush to some extent. The guy with quick and dexterous movements pinned the thief to the ground and intercepted his hand and began to hold it, clasping his hands so that he could not move from the place. Killian is approached by people who must be in charge of order in the city. He asked them why this loser is still walking on the street, and they apologized. Mr. Killian takes the girl's hand and asks if she's okay. Sophia says yes, she's fine. Only she felt a little pain in her weakened body and fell down. Then the Archduke put his body up so that the girl fell on top of him. Sophia touched the Archduke's chest with her palm and blushed very much, squeezing the guy's firm, pumped chest through his clothes. The guy sees her flushed face and asks if everything is okay. The girl answers yes, everything is fine with her. She was just dizzy, the girl said, and then she heard Killian call for a guard to report to the proper department that the thief had been caught. This man runs the military and police forces of the imperial family. Archduke Rivellon. People say that as soon as he took this position in the city became much safer, as he always acts in a fair manner. Sophia realizes that since he runs the army and the police and he is loved by the people, it is also a sure sign that the guy is a protagonist. She can now be sure that she is not mistaken. This man is a real protagonist. The girl says that Killian would like to take her out and asks where to. The guy wonders how she got him, and Sophia explains that Mr. Archduke is a busy man and he would not take her out dress shopping just like that. Sophia continued to explaining that this was all happening now because of the article. He had come to see how things really were. He had found the girl. He had learned the truth, and now he wanted to find the author of the article. The guy is amazed by her insight, but confirms everything she said earlier, because the girl is right in her guesses. Then the Archduke smiles, looks the girl straight in the eye and says that maybe it's time to show everyone that she's not a servant. Killian, together with Sophia, entered the Duchess of Chanelia's estate, both of them dressed unrivaled. The girl feels like a real aristocrat in such a dress. Now in the estate of the Duchess who wrote the article is a banquet. She has so much time to do, it's incredible. But the banquet now will not be a hindrance. It can be used on the contrary in its favor. The butler asks His Highness who is the girl standing next to him, and he introduced his fiancée, Sophia Frowes. People can be heard discussing the girl. They recognized her as the maid from the newspaper. People see her in front of them for the first time in person. Duchess Chanelia approaches them both. Blonde with blue eyes and a dark white dress with lots of bows, she said she would give them a seat. Let them wait a little bit. Sophia whispered to the Archduke, asking if he was invited. He said he wasn't. She continued the line of questioning, asking if they were here to fight, and he said they were just here to talk. And Sophia shouted louder that it was the same thing. Then Duchess Chanelia addresses them, says that they must be waiting and asks them to go to the banquet. They all sat down together at the table. The Duchess prepared a delicious aromatic tea. She took it by the handle of the cup and took a sip. And then this silence is destroyed by Mr. Killian, asking the Duchess, saying that today's article of hers impressed him very much. But why does not she check the data before writing an article? And how to make sure of the reliability of this information? The Duchess says that the information about whether the girl is a servant, that's the obvious answer from Count Frowes, she continued. And she didn't want to get that answer. So she went to the aristocrats for information. They said that Lady Sophia couldn't make her debut because she was very ill and had health problems. She was so ill that she didn't go to the debutante ball. But even so, none of the doctors went to check on her. Someone saw Sophia doing dirty work. She was cleaning and scrubbing the floors. But even so, there are some inconsistencies and strange moments in the information she received. The Duchess looked towards the girl. She suggested to ask some questions, since they had already come to her. The first question was, is she really Sophia Frowes? The Duchess had already reached her conclusion, and after further verification of the information, the Duchess was of the opinion that Sophia was not being treated as a servant. She was indeed a servant. The girl thought to herself that if it would affect her reputation, she would be finished. But it was time to execute her plan. So she answered that the Duchess was right. She really was not at the doctor's office and was doing laundry, because her stepmother wanted her aristocrat to understand how ordinary people live, so people misunderstood everything. Sophia cried, saying that her stepmother had not had enough and had sent her to live in the attic. But all these words surprised the Duchess. She would hardly expect Rubizella to do anything of the kind. The girl continued the story. Her father turned his back on her when he found out about the stepmother's appearance. Maybe it's because she's not very wise yet, the girl reasoned out loud. Sophia said in a slightly higher tone that it was because she was not useful. That's why she was considered a servant. The girl covered her face with her hands, playing her role. The girl cries and asks if the Duchess also considers her a servant, and the latter answers no. But before she could utter the words, the play organized by Sophia continues. Her father became completely different when he married for the second time. He was not interested in Sophia after the stepmother appeared. Her father loved only her younger brother, and it was as if she ceased to exist in their house. The Duchess is very shocked and touched by this story. She asks the girl if it is true what she has just told. Sophia is happy because she managed to get a reaction from the Duchess. Duchess Chanelia has always been responsible for gossip in society, but suddenly the Countess Rubizella Frowes and her accomplices appeared and began to use her wealth to attract the admirers of Duchess Chanelia. As a result, they became enemies in the society of aristocrats. So it was written in the diary of Sophia Frowes. The Duchess says she didn't think this was even happening in Frowes County. The horrible gossip about the Frowes family is clearly to her liking. Sophia continues to play to the audience, her eyes watering and her lips trembling slightly as she says that if it weren't for the Duchess, she would still be living in the attic, showing her gratitude to Lady Chanelia. The Duchess made the protagonist appear and made Sophia Frows's name known. The girl feels that she has caused misunderstandings. But on the other hand, the Duchess herself definitely wanted to write an article to dishonor Rubizella. The Duchess cannot publish an article without proof, but because of her relationship with Rubizella, upon receiving a message from Sophia, she immediately investigated and wrote an article. The Duchess feels guilty and apologizes for publishing this article. But the girl wipes her tears and says it's okay. It's only because of this article that she came out of her attic and is now sitting here. Having spoken to those involved in the rumor and learned that it was a misunderstanding, she will not pay for spreading rumors about the Archduke's fiancé. The Duchess told Sophia Frowes that she would be sure to clarify the situation in the next issue of the newspaper. She would write a clarifying article, and then the reputation of the poor bride of the Archduke would be preserved. Only Rubicella and Count Frowes would appear in a bad light. The article about Sophia Frowes, who is considered a servant, will make everyone realize that she is just kept in the attic, and it will be a high-profile debut. This is her real goal, because the protagonist of a romantic novel always appears brightly. Sophia thanked the Duchess for her understanding as she continued to play her part. Killian and Sophia left the Duchess's manor. The boy looked at the girl carefully and asked if she was okay. Sophia said that you can't be so gullible. Sophia told Killian that she was pretending. He doesn't understand how and asked if everything she said was a lie. The girl said no, it was true. But the tears, she points to her pretty face, the tears were false. The girl understands Sophia. She had a difficult life. Everyone oppressed and oppress her, forced to clean like a maid. But in the world of the novel, she has courage, because now she is the main character. In the end, Sophia will be happy, Killian clarifies. Didn't the girl say that people wouldn't care if the truth about her family was revealed? The girl answered that before yes. But now the situation has changed. Now she is in the center of attention. But mentioning her name is not enough to attract attention, because everything is in its time. Mr. Killian went to the dining room at the Duchess of Chanelia's estate and was greeted by a servant who said he was surprised to see the Archduke's name in the newspaper. Killian answered that he was also surprised, and that's why he wanted to introduce his bride, Sophia Frowes. The guy put one hand on the girl's shoulder, while the other one held her by the palm. But then the girl noticed how everyone was staring at her. They must be thinking that some servant girl could be the bride of the Archduke. The girl took her hands on the edges of her dress and bowed to the aristocrats, showing her manners, which caused respect among the aristocrats. People began to think how she could be a servant. If she has such good manners, maybe it was not a true rumor. The girl thought to herself that it is very easy for a real fan of novels to learn manners. And Sophia's body remembers something. The girl is sure that before entering any novel, she has nothing to fear if she has the necessary information with her. One of the aristocrats here says that it's not known whether she's a servant or not. It's not known how true the rumors are. But there's information that she's been seen doing dirty work. Sophia thought to herself, who is he to say such things about the main character? Then she looked away from herself at Killian. It seems to her, or he is worried about her. He is so unhappy. It made the girl smile because she feels that she does not care about the Archduke. She says yes, she was doing a maid's job, but she found out something interesting. They say that he likes to collect dolls and masks, to which the guy responded positively and asked her what she wanted to say and why she was even asking about it. The girl pointed out that such hobbies of his mean only one thing. Is he a clown? The rule for the heroine of a romance novel is to smile while she spits in his face. Of course, masks and puppets are expensive items, but they are associated with clowns. The guy started yelling at the girl not to exaggerate, but she says it's really silly. It's as silly a rumor as the rumor that she's a maid, because she just wanted to help with household chores. Some of the guests here like to welcome guests with a personally prepared dinner. Some of them love plants and take care of their gardens themselves, and it's silly to call such people not real aristocrats, but cooks and gardeners, the girl said. In addition, Duchess Chanelia personally apologized to Sophia, and if this rumor spreads again, she doesn't know how they will look each other in the eye. After these words, the people who were listening to Sophia began to gossip whether the proud Duchess Chanelia apologized. If so, then it was definitely a lie. The girl's glad she was able to deal with all those rumors. Fraus County Manor. Sophia has reached home. She is so tired as the day has been too full. She touches the doorknob, with thoughts of being given another room as she requested. But then the girl hears a guy's voice and sees Sophia's younger brother in front of her. He is the one who most of all oppressed and abused the girl. He said that the girl came late and asked where she got such an expensive dress, whether it was bought by the scion of the emperor. Ian Fraus stood in front of the girl, looking down at her. The girl doubted that the boy could be Sophia Fraus's younger brother, as there was only a difference of 2 years between them. The Count had married for the second time when Sophia was 7 years old. We can assume that Rubizella had been a mistress during her first marriage, and as soon as the last countess died, the Count brought her home. Ian also became a member of the family. Perhaps the Earl's son was worried that his mother was a mistress and was taking out his complexes on Sophia. But why had Ian come home today? He had been practicing the art of swordsmanship since he was a boy. At 14, Ian became the youngest Ruktiner knight, the highest-ranking knight in the Empire. Once he became a knight, he could leave home for months at a time. But Jenny said Ian could come home next week, but he was already here. The guy said he couldn't stand still and didn't come when he saw it. He showed an article from the newspaper, said his toy was a sensation. He should definitely celebrate it. Ian took the girl by the chin as if she were his puppy, but Sophia wasn't the least bit afraid. She thought he wanted to seem so threatening and menacing at 19, and he said his sister was his plaything. She would have taught her brother a lesson a long time ago. The girl pushed her brother's hand away and shouted at him not to touch her. This caused a wave of confusion and contradiction in Ian's mind. He didn't expect her to respond like that. He thought maybe she was drunk, which he asked specifically. Ian said that Sophia was wrong to hope for her imperial offspring. Her engagement meant nothing because she was just sold. The guy showed the article again. He added that she was sold without asking, just like her mom. The girl wondered if he was blaming her for her arranged marriage and her mom too. A real Sophia would be hurt by this. But she's not Sophia, and that's fine. She doesn't intend to listen to him. The girl turned away from her little brother and headed in the opposite direction from him. The guy grabbed her hand sharply, and Sophia asked him to let go, but he just smirked and asked, "What if he doesn't want to let go? The girl doesn't understand what's wrong with him. He's acting like that toxic hero from the novels." The girl laughed and said that then they would stand like that all night. Or maybe he was just afraid of ghosts and just wanted to hold his older sister's hand because he was less scared that way. This made Ian very angry. He said, "Does the girl want to die?" And she said, "Can he kill her? And if he can, let him try." He pointed his sword at the girl right at her neck. The girl says he can kill her, of course. But whose name will be on the papers next week? How does he like the article, "Knight Ian Fraus killed the Archduke's fiancée"? These words shocked the boy very much. The girl keeps provoking him, saying let him kill her. She'll be the end of him and his terrible consequences. Ian put down his sword and grumbled that it was all because of that bastard. And the girl looked at the guy carefully and realized that despite his terrible character, he was still handsome. The girl lay on the bed, asking herself when she will finally move to the other room. She wondered why everything had happened like this. Did she plan to continue living like this? She was cold, so she pulled the blanket more tightly over herself. And outside the window is a beautiful night view, lots of stars spread out in the sky and lighting the way, and small clouds along with them. At this time, the Archduke remembers Sophia. He thinks it was so reckless, but at the same time, she didn't want to let innocent people suffer. Her perplexed face, the way she can persuade, she is really smart, even very smart. The guy smiles as he continues to recall the image of that girl. The guy was asked if he's done with the rumors. He said yes. He doesn't want to break off the engagement yet. He wants to wait and see what happens. Ian is practicing with a sword, chopping a tree with it, when suddenly he remembered yesterday's situation with his older sister. He doesn't understand what happened to her. She grew up so fast, it's as if she changed in one day. Maybe she got proud because of the engagement with the Archduke, or he missed something. The guy is so uncomfortable with the fact that the girl has changed dramatically. He wants to understand what Sophia Fraus is trying to achieve. The maids began to gossip that the Archduke had come here yesterday because of that article. One of the maids expressed concern that the Archduke might want to break off the engagement, and these words crept into Ian's mind. The engagement was a way to sell Sophia to the highest bidder, but he has nothing to lose. Even if the engagement is broken, Sophia will stay in the house and Ian can continue to abuse her. One of the maids says that she doesn't mind breaking off the engagement. She wants to take this handsome man for herself, because unfortunately there aren't many handsome men on the estate. But one of the girls denies her, saying that there are handsome men, and gives Ian as an example. The guy hears this and obviously didn't expect it. The maid says the Archduke looks like a perfect statue, and young Mr. Ian looks like a rose. He seems prettier and prettier when they talk about him. This makes Ian very angry because he doesn't understand how they dare not work, but discuss the appearance of the master and compare him to the Archduke. The guy approached the maids. They bowed to him, although they were very embarrassed. He warned them to get away with it for the last time, and if they understood, then let them go to work. He turned around and left, crossed his arms on his chest. The maids continued to discuss young Mr. Ian. How handsome he was. Even when he was angry with them, he was prickly like a rose. The third maid thought to herself that these two never change. They only talk about looks. Rubizella meets her son and invited him to the table. They prepared various dishes in honor of his visit, because today is a special day. The guy thought about the fact that today there is no Sophia, as here he came to him. Ian is told that he is a good man, because he won the tournament again. They did not expect anything less from him, and Sophia, on the contrary, made up a story to disgrace the family. The man knew that she was stupid, but not so much to deprive herself of the opportunity to marry the Archduke. Ian says that it seems that yesterday the girl was away all day. She was with the Archduke, to which he replies that it is really strange. The aristocrat thought that the Archduke would want to break off the engagement, but he is on the contrary spending time with her. Rubizella intervened in the conversation, saying that he would not marry Sophia, to which they told her that they did not know for sure, but that the marriage was important for the family, so it was necessary to please him. The countess rose from the table, slapped her hand on the table, and shouted that this girl could not be attracted to Killian. They had only spent one day together, and the new room would strengthen her moods. And if they left it like that, their plans might be ruined. Ian thinks that, like his mother told him, marriage to the Archduke would be beneficial. Because she is malleable, Sophia, who trembles at any word her parents can use to easily get everything she needs from the Archduke. But now the situation has changed, and so has Sophia. She realized it. Though their conversation was short, this Sophia would not give in. But what could have made her change so much? Could it be Killian? But they'd been engaged a month, and it hadn't been apparent before. And the more Ian tried to understand, the more confused he got. And her new look, so sparkling and fearless, really pissed him off and annoyed him. So he thought about it and put a glass of wine close to his lips. The boy thought Sophia would be jumping for joy when she was given a new room. But she was nowhere to be seen in the manor. The gentleman rang the bell, summoning the butler. He asked him if Sophia had moved into the new room and why there was still no news, and got the answer that he knew that everything was ready since morning, and now he was ready to go and check it out. But Ian decided to go himself. On the way, he met Sophia's maid and started asking her a lot of questions, starting with the question of whether Sophia had moved and where she is now, why she is not seen all day. Jenny awkwardly answered that she had come to see her mistress in the morning, but she was still asleep, and she decided to go out so that the girl could rest properly. The guy shouted, raising his voice a few tones, "So she doesn't know where Sophia is now?" And she said very quietly, frightened, "Yes, she doesn't know." Ian said that a maid who doesn't know what her mistress is doing is very unprofessional, and then Jenny apologized, overwhelmed with anxiety and fear, apologizing to the young master. The guy tells her to leave, and the girl rushes away from him to do her job. The guy goes to the door of her new room. He realizes that he shouldn't have come here, and he could have just waited for her to come out, because now it feels like he's wasting his time, although he just wants to know what the girl was doing yesterday with the Archduke, so there's nothing wrong with it. The guy started calling Sophia through the door to open it. He thought that the girl ignored him, but then he heard her coughing. He realized that she is definitely there. but for some reason she does not open the door. He opened the door and saw the girl lying in bed. She was wrapped in a blanket. She looked very pale and was coughing a lot. The guy told her to wake up and open her eyes. He moved her to wake up. She just asked Ian not to hit her. Then the guy noticed a cut on her neck because of yesterday. Then when he put the sword to her neck, he accidentally made a small cut. The guy took his sister in his arms and walked with her around the estate, his aristocrat, and asked what happened. As then, the guy shouted for him to call a doctor quickly. The girl opened her eyes and saw a beautiful room. She thought she had finally been given a new room, but then she saw Ian sitting next to her. She exclaimed, asking where he had come from. The guy answered that this was his room. That's why he was here. He said that he had brought her here out of pity. But it surprised the girl because Ian had been replaced. Maybe it wasn't even Ian since he was so kind to her, and he had given her the medicine. Ian told the girl that her new room was ready, and she said she felt as if she were still asleep. In her sleep, a mean man was taking care of her. The words about the mean girl hurt the guy, and he asked what he had done to her. And the girl said that if you made a list of his actions towards her, it would be very long. The guy said it's because she's the real Frau's, not the child of a mistress. She's always been Frau's perfect daughter, and he has to prove he's better than everyone else. The girl asked the guy not to do anything strange. He pretends to be kind, but it does not suit him, as the guy laughed and said that he just did not want his toy to get hurt. The girl said she didn't trust the medicine Ian had given her and wouldn't drink it if it was poison. The guy got angry, but accepted her point of view and introduced her to the doctor, asking if she would trust the doctor. His name was Leopold. The servants came to Ian and told him that someone was at the door, but before they could say his name, Ian looked out of the window and saw the Archduke there. The boy has no idea how he found out about it, but he decided to send Dr. Leopold to him. They won't need him anymore. But the servants say that the Archduke came to see Sophia, and the girl heard it. She wondered who could come to her at such a time. Of course, the protagonist. The plot does not stand still even if the heroine is sick. Their love becomes stronger thanks to the illness. She fantasizes. This is such a great scenario that she cannot miss this opportunity. The girl rises from the bed and asks Killian if it is Killian. Let her brother let the Archduke come in, and if not, she will go down to him herself. Ian says, does the girl want to meet her Killian in such a state she can't even stand? He helped the girl not to fall when she almost knocked over and continued his speech. He asked the girl not to make things up and to go back to bed, and ordered his butler to send the Archduke back to bed. The guy is wondering why it's taking so long. He wants to see his fiancée as his servant points to the doctor walking towards them, and next to him is probably the butler. The boy told the doctor that he would be escorted to the imperial palace and asked them what about the meeting with Sophia, to which the butler told him that young Mr. Ian had refused because of Sophia's condition. She had just taken medicine and would soon be better, so there was no cause for concern. The butler reassured the Archduke. The guy looked out the window and saw Ian Frau's just watching from behind the window instead of going out to him, and judging by his look, he doesn't like the Archduke. Then the guy told the butler that he needed to see for himself. He was worried because she was sick after spending the whole day with him. The boy took a few steps forward, despite the fact that he was refused a visit, and then he was met by Ian Frau's. The boy said that they had not seen each other for a long time, and it seems that Count Frau's is not at home now. He would not have sent him away with the help of the butler. Ian said that Sophia is not well and the Archduke knows it. That's why he can't see her, and perhaps her father would have made the same decision. Killian knows it's a lie because the Count would have dragged her by the hair to the door just to see him. He would have wanted to know the details of the rumors. But this guy didn't do that. He didn't give in. Ian decided to protect her. But Killian doesn't know if the guy realizes it. The guy asked one question. Didn't the girl want to see him? He got silence in response, because he realized that it was Ian's decision, so he had no reason to back out. Killian says he has to make sure his fiancée is in good health and asks Ian to get out of the way, only he just smiles and says it's a shame he's not going to let him go any further. The guy said it's no big deal because he's used to making his own way, and even if he has to, he's ready to fight Ian. Ian says he'll regret it and is ready to take up the sword, and Killian said he won't know until they try it. It's a very tense situation. They're on the verge of a real battle. Ian lost sight of Killian and looked for him. Maybe he'd already gone inside. Maybe he'd gone up the stairs that way. Ian saw the Archduke and ran to him. He tried to grab the boy as he jumped up high. Ahead of Ian, he jumped to the door. Ian didn't expect the Archduke to be so fast. Sophia wondered if Killian had been let in, where he was now. If he hadn't been let in and just stumbled, what kind of hero he was after that. Suddenly, she saw a guy right in front of her. He asked how Sophia was feeling. If she was okay, the girl realized that he had defeated Ian, and inside her took pride for Killian, although she expected it from the main character. The girl replied that after taking medication, she felt a little better. The boy apologizes to the lady because he is guilty of tiring her yesterday. The girl is happy because she is pleased that Killian is worried about her. She smiled and said that everything is fine. Thanks to the Archduke, she had a lot of fun. Killian smiled and said that he was happy about it. Then the girl asked him how he knew that she was here now and that she was very sick. The Archduke was informed that the Emperor's health was deteriorating, so he was asked to call Dr. Leopold so that no one would know about it. And then he learned that Dr. Leopold was treating her here. The girl realized that the doctor is quite a famous person. The girl says that means her suffering was worth it. But after she noticed Killian's strange look at her and began to think about why he looks at her like that. So strange. Maybe he wants Sophia to offer him to sit down. But he can just sit down, or the girl looks strange. Killian asks Sophia if she's in pain, and she says she's not in pain, but she just doesn't look so good. That's why she wasn't ready to greet the guests, and after she said that, the guy smiled. The girl noticed it and said why he was laughing, and the Archduke said it was very funny how excited she was. The guy blushed a little from embarrassment and took his head aside. Then he told the girl that it was time for him to leave. She was upset, because they had not yet had time to do anything that usually happens at such moments in novels. But on the other hand, they are not in such a relationship. Then her thoughts stopped. She felt Killian's lips on her hand. The Archduke gently took her hand and kissed it, wishing Sophia a speedy recovery, and the next time they will meet in another place. The girl is very embarrassed. She realizes that this is how real protagonists behave, and it makes her admire what just happened even more. Killian is riding in the carriage. He thought about it. He wanted to see Sophia because of politeness, but here is her smile. He imagines Sophia smiling at him. She didn't say anything like that. But at the same time, she was incredibly sweet, like a pet. And her younger brother, on the contrary, to be honest, Killian has no desire to provoke him. But the way he looked arrogantly out of the window was very annoying. He was able to check out Ian Fruz's skills, which he had only heard about before, but he shouldn't have gone that far, so Killian decided to watch his words and observe Sophia more often. Ian remembers their meeting with Killian. It was just a man-to-man fight, but Killian's next move was so free and easy beyond the comprehension of a man who does heavy martial arts. They don't teach that in the Imperial family, because they only need to follow the protocol. The guy's in over his head. He doesn't understand what kind of man this Archduke Killian Vipronus Rivellon is. Ian came to the headquarters of the Knights of Ruckteiner. The guy across from him said that he was very surprised when he received this letter, which says that Ian ran away during training. He decided to ask the guy why he did it. He is a promising knight. Ian said there was trouble in the family, so he had to go back there. Secretary Benedict didn't understand what he was talking about and decided to ask what the trouble was. Is Count Frow's dead? Ian said no, or he would have come in black. Then Benedict asks if it's because of the maid they're talking about, and the boy denies it, saying she's not a maid. Benedict assures the boy that it doesn't matter, but he says it does, because it concerns his family. The guy said that he shouldn't run away because of some gossip, and said that he should take the first place. It's important for Ian. To what Ian suddenly replied that it's not important and he doesn't care, but it shocked Secretary Benedict very much. He remembers how the guy fought with others, even with a broken arm. What happened to him? Why did he change his opinion so abruptly? Ian never cared about that. He only tried because he didn't like to lose, so they put him in first place, because he doesn't like to be outdone. The secretary says that since he is back, let him try his best, and then the guy suggested that he could try to fight with the military police. This shocked the secretary. He does not understand how it could even come into Ian's head that the defenders of the Empire to fight each other Do not even think about it. Should not even think about it. Ian said that the secretary misunderstood him. He meant the competition to strengthen friendships. The secretary asked, "Since when Ian is interested in friendships, he has no friends even among the knights." The guy said that it is a good opportunity to improve skills. Everyone will be interested to see which of them is the strongest. This brings a smug smile to the secretary. He says that surely someone will beat him, and so the guy wants to restore his pride. And he added, "Who could beat Ian Frowes?" Surely it was Archduke Killian Vipronus Rivellon, to which Ian said that he didn't lose. The secretary cheered and said maybe the guy should ask the Archduke personally. It would be much quicker to set up a competition. He continued to smile and laugh, thus annoying Ian. Killian asks how His Majesty is, to which he is told that all is well. It's just a fever due to a slight inflammation. He needs rest. Killian says that's good. But who will be in charge of state affairs now? To which he is told that for the time being the Emperor and Empress. Killian was summoned, and it turned out to be Crown Prince Michael von Orhel, his brother. Leopold is told that he has been working all night, and he says back that it is an honor to help the imperial family. But now it is time for him to go. Michael apologized to his brother for yesterday because Killian is already busy, and he worries him. But Killian said that it's okay and Michael can ask him for help, because His Majesty is the heart of the empire, and for Killian he is like a father, in response to which Michael thanked the guy for these words. Michael von Orhel asks the Archduke how he is doing. He means the rumors that Sophia is not a daughter but a maid. Thanks to this question, the guy is once again convinced that Sophia Frowes' strategy is good. Since the news about her reached even the prince, the guy answers that he should not worry, because everything is already solved. The guy was surprised that everything was so quickly resolved, whether they broke off the engagement. The guy answers that no, and why everyone immediately think about the termination of the engagement. They did not break off anything, but only asked Duchess Chanelia to correct the article, and most likely she will do it next week. The prince thought Killian had asked him to rewrite the article for the sake of his fiancée, but he replied that no, nothing of the sort. He simply had to keep his marriage of convenience for His Majesty's sake. Only Michael began to say that this rumor will have a bad effect on Killian's reputation, and maybe he should look for an informant. Maybe he did it to spite him, to which the guy replies that everything is normal and he has long known about everything, while imagining the picture of Sophia standing in front of him in a beautiful and expensive green dress, and her smile just enchants the eye. Michael asked his brother who did it, and he said that he would tell him later as he had to go now. Michael offered the Archduke to have breakfast together, but he was in a hurry to go to the anonymous informant. The guy smiled, imagining the images of the girl. He liked how nice she was, and her persuasive skills were unsurpassed. Sophia was a very interesting and intelligent person.